promise yourself that today was the day that you were finally going to move on, but somehow you still ended up checking their social media, reading old messages and looking for old photos or wondering what they're doing without you? Have you ever told yourself, I know this relationship is over, but your body, your thoughts, and your emotions still feel completely attached? If this is you, I want you to know something right now. You are not crazy, you are not weak, and you're not falling at healing. You're just grieving. You're just adjusting. You're learning how to live without someone who used to be part of your daily emotional system. And today, I want to give you something practical, not cliches, not just, hey, move on, not just love yourself when you can barely get out of bed. Today, I want you to walk you through 7 things that you can actually do after a breakup to support your healing, calm your nervous system, and start rebuilding the life intentional step, one step at a time. So, welcome to another episode of From Breakup to Badass. I'm Yanira Puy, speaker, wellness, and your guide through rebuilding and your coach through rebuilding after heartbreak. And today's episode is for anyone who is in the middle of heartbreak, divorce, separation, rejection, or the painful ending of a relationship that thought maybe you would last much longer than it did. I'm going to talk to you about what to do after the relationship ends because let's be honest, most people know what to do, right? Don't text them, don't stalk them, don't beg them to come back, don't look for closure in a person who keeps hurting you. But what people don't always know is what they should do instead. So today I'm giving you 7 things you can start doing after a breakup to help you grieve, detach, rebuild, and come back to yourself. And if this episode speaks to you, I also want you to remind you that my book, From Breakup to Badass, goes deeper into this process of healing your heart, reclaiming your power, and becoming the woman that you were meant to be. And you can find the link below in the episode. Okay, let's start. One of the things that you should do is let yourself grieve. The first thing that you need to do after a breakup is let yourself breathe. Grief. And I know this sounds obvious, but most people they do not actually give themselves permissions to grieve. They try to stay busy. They go back to work. They smile, they post, they pretend that they're okay. But they do not want to look weak, or maybe desperate or maybe dramatic. But this is something that you should know. Heartbreak is grief. You're not only grieving the person, you're grieving the version of yourself, of your life that you thought that you were going to have. You are grieving the future that you imagined together, the routines, the traditions, the conversations, the plans that you have, all those family trips, the dynamics, the little moments that no longer exist in the same way. And I remember, after my own divorce and after living a life that I had built together with a person, there were moments when I was doing everything right on the outside. I was moving my body, I was meditating, working, showing up every single day, trying to be strong. But inside, I was really mourning, and I was not just missing a person. I was mourning the dream, the identity, the life that I thought I was going to be married for the rest of my life. And there is research showing that social rejection and emotional pain activate some of the same regions associated with physical pain. And that is why heartbreak, I have talked about it before, can feel physical, maybe in your chest or in your stomach. And that is why heartbreak, your chest hurts, or maybe your sleep changes, your body is reacting, your body is responding to love. And this is some of the things that I tell, women: stop judging yourself for grieving. The goal is not to stay in grief forever because you cannot heal what you keep suppressing. I remember one of the episodes that I was talking to Brian Johnson. He used to say, I cannot heal, you cannot heal what you don't reveal. So you need to talk about it. You need to feel it. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to journal, journal. If you need to talk to a friend, talk to a friend. If you need a therapy, get support. I think, this is one of the most important things. But feeling your emotion is not weakness, it is part of the process of healing. So that would be like the first strategy. The second strategy that I think it would be great is stop seeking proof that they will care or that they still care. You know, there's one of the most common traps after heartbreak. You check their stories, you look to see if they watch yours, you wonder why they like something, you analyze what they posted, you check who they follow, you look for any sign that maybe they still miss you. Maybe they miss all the years, the decades that you were together, and maybe they regret it. Maybe they still love you. But I mean, let's be honest. Most of the time, and I'm not saying all the time, you're not looking for the information. You're looking for hope. For hope that something's going to change, that they are going to come back. And hope sometimes keeps you emotionally tied to someone who has already left or who has already moved on. And this is the reason why sometimes heartbreak can feel so addictive. Romantic love activates dopamine in the brain, okay, which is the same reward system involved in craving, sugar, motivation, any addiction. So when the person is gone, your brain wants another hit. Like if it were, let me get one more cake or one more ice cream or whatever it is, or alcohol. It's the same thing. It's the text, another photo, another sign, another memory, another little piece of connection. And I have seen this with my clients so many times. A woman will just tell me, I just want to check quickly, but that quick check turns into hours of spirals. We check one picture, then another, then the comments, then the new followers, then we start comparing ourselves suddenly, and the whole nervous system is activated again. So this is something that we really need to take into account. The third thing that I think is amazing: create a no contact period. What is that? Have you heard about that? And I know some people do not want to hear this, but no contact is one of the most powerful things that you can do after a breakup. No contact is not about punishment, it's not about manipulation, it's not about making them miss you. It is about giving your nervous system space to calm down, to relax, right? And giving your brain time to learn a new pattern. Remember, we have talked about neuroplasticity, so we have to come up with new patterns, new activities, new routines that make us move forward. When someone has been a part of your life, your brain builds routine around that person. You text them, you when something is funny, right? You call them when you need comfort. You share your day with them. You expect their voice, their presence, their reaction. So when the relationship ends, your brain does not immediately understand that this habit has to stop. This is why you may reach for your phone without thinking. This is why you may want to send a meme, right? Or this is why you may want to have one last conversation. It's not always a sign that you are meant to be together. Sometimes it's just a habit that your nervous system has not yet released. A no contact period give you space to interrupt that pattern. It gives you a chance to stop reopening the wound. If you had a physical cut, let's say, you would not peel it open every day, right? and then wonder, oh, why is it not healing? But emotionally, this is exactly what happens when you keep texting, when you keep calling, when you keep checking their social media, or trying to get closure from the same person who caused the wound. For some people, 30 days is a good starting point. So 30 days. For others, it may be need a little bit longer, you know? And yes, if you share children's, businesses, or legal responsibilities, you may need limited contact. You may need that contact, right? But even then, the contact needs to be clean, clear, and not emotionally chaotic. So think about it. Where do I need to create a space so I can actually begin healing? Four, remove the triggers. This does not mean that you have to erase your entire past or pretend that the relationship never existed, because it did, and maybe it was beautiful and it taught you a lot. But in the earliest stages of healing, you need to protect your emotional environment. Put the pictures away, mute or unfollow them if you need to, archive the text messages, put gift into a box, the gift that they gave you. Stop playing the songs that destroy you. Do not keep sleeping in a room that still feels like us. If you can make small changes that help it feel like yours. And the reason that this matter is because environmental cues can activate emotional memory. A song can take you back to a moment, maybe a song that you play when you got married, maybe a smell, maybe some food that they like can bring back a person. A photo can wake up grief you thought you had under control. Your brain connects object, places, sounds, and routines with emotional experiences. This is why it is important. And I remember, how hard this was when I moved and I had to decide what to bring with me. At first, I wanted to carry everything. I remember I was in Colombia and I was talking to some friends and I wanted to bring the plates, the chair that I brought from Barranquilla, the things that I had collected over the years, because in my mind, they represented a life that I had built. But a friend said something that changed everything. She said, like, why don't you travel life? And something clicked at that moment, because sometimes we're not just holding on to objects, we're holding on to identity attached to them. So removing the trigger is not about being cold. It is about giving your heart some breathing room. Okay, so think about it. What in my environment keeps pulling me back into the past, and what can I move, what can I remove, what can I mute or box or change right now? Okay, five, move your body. And this is, if you have heard me before, this is something that I really do all the time. And I do not mean this as a revenge body. I do not mean exercise so they regret losing you because you look so hot right now. I do not mean go punish yourself into becoming someone else. I mean move your body because your body is carrying the pain too. After a heartbreak, your nervous system is activated. Cortisol can rise, sleep can suffer, your appetite can change, your energy may drop. You may feel anxious, restless, heavy, and numb. Movement helps the body process stress. This has been one of the most important tools in my own life. During one of the hardest transitions I went through, there were days when I did not want to exercise. I did not feel motivated. I did not feel strong, but I moved anyway. And not because of my body, I moved because I knew it was for my mental and emotional survival. So sometimes it was a workout, sometimes it was a walk, sometimes it was stretching, sometimes it was just dancing in my kitchen. So the point was not perfection, the point was regulation. Exercise has been linked to lower symptoms of anxiety and depression, and it supports emotional resilience by helping release endorphins and regulate stress. But you do not need to become extreme. you simply need to move consistently. Walk for 10 minutes, dance, lift weights, take a yoga class, do something that reminds your body, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm still moving forward. So think about it. What kind of movement do you want to do today that is going to support your healing? Okay. All right. So we're almost done. Six, build a life that does not revolve around them. And this is where some people I see they may get stuck because after a breakup, there's a huge empty space. The calls are gone, the routines are gone, the plans are gone, the trips are gone, the future that you imagine is gone. And if you do not intentionally fill that space with your own life, your mind will feed it with the fantasy, with the future that never was. You will imagine what they're doing. You will imagine them coming back. You will imagine seeing them from years from now. You will imagine the apology, maybe the reunion, the moment where everything suddenly makes sense. But fantasy can keep you emotionally married to a relationship that is already over. So this is what rebuilding your life is not optional. It is a part of the healing. Take a class, plan something with your friends, volunteer, join a group, start a project, go to the gym, travel, learn something new, reconnect with people that you have lost touch with. So create a calendar that gives you something to look forward. And I know from experience that rebuilding can feel scary when you have a part of when you have been a part of a couple for some time, and maybe for you has been 20 years, I don't know. And sometimes you forget your own rhythm, you forget your own preference, and you ask, who am I now? But that question is not the end, it is actually the beginning, because you can rebuild the whole thing again. And we're about to be done. So, the seventh strategy, stop romanticizing the relationship. After a breakup, your brain can become very selective. And I know I'm sure that you know what I mean. And suddenly you remember the laughter, the chemistry, the vacations, the beautiful moments, the way they looked at you, the songs, the plans. And yes, those moments may have been real, but they were not the whole story. You also need to remember maybe the unmet needs, the lonely moments, the confusion, the incompatibilities, the miscommunication, the arguments, the red flags, the times maybe that you abandoned yourself, the time that you knew that something was not aligned, but you kept trying anyway. Healing requires honesty, and one thing I often tell women, to not only remember the highlight reel, remember the full movie, because this is what we do. We edit the movie. So if you only remember the good moments, you will keep grieving a fantasy version of the relationship instead of accepting the reality of what it actually is. And it doesn't mean that you have to hate that person. I do not believe healing requires hate, but it does require truth. You can honor what was good and still accept that it was not enough to continue. So think about it. Am I grieving the real relation or the fantasy or what I hope it would become? If you're going through a breakup right now, I want you to remember something. The goal is not to get the old life back. The goal is to build a new life that feels aligned, so honest, and so deeply yours that one day you realize that you no longer want to go backward. Right now, that may feel impossible. I understand that. And when you're in pain, it is hard to imagine a future where this does not hurt the same way. But healing happens one decision at a time, one step at a time, one day of not contact, one walk, one honest journal entry, one moment where you do not check their page, or one conversation with a friend. Remember, you're not broken, you're in the process of becoming. So before you go, I want you to ask you something important. Our analytics show that more than 90% of people who watch or listen to this content are not subscribed yet. So if this episode helped you in any way, if it made you feel seen, if it gave you clarity of hope, please subscribe, follow the show, or leave a review and share it with someone who may need it. That simple action helps this podcast reach more people who are silently going through heartbreak and need to know they are not alone. And if you're ready to go deeper, my book From Breakup to Badass is available now. In the book, I go deeper into healing, identity, and emotional patterns so you can find the link and buy the book. Remember, your heart did not break you, it woke you up. Now go live like the badass that you are.